The man never imagined that after being transported into a game world, he would face a losing situation right from the start. To establish a nation of his own, he would first need to grow and develop. But not far away, there were two major enemy nations, and they happened to counter his good-aligned nature. Just recently, Jack's scouts overheard the Dark Elves, mistaking him for the King of Destruction. Jack thought he could take advantage of that misunderstanding. The next day, the Dark Elf chieftain came to negotiate. Sure enough, his first words were to ask Jack's honorable name. Fortunately, Jack had arranged in advance for Lisa to answer on his behalf. She told them he was the King of Destruction. The chieftain was terrified. It seemed his guess had been right. It was said the King of Destruction would annihilate all living beings. Yet having received the favor of such a great figure, the chieftain didn't know how to repay him. Sensing their genuine fear, Jack came up with a bold idea. He would bring the Dark Elves under his command. They were neutral beings, neither good nor evil. Although there were risks, if he could make them his own, they would become a great asset. Thinking this through, he had Lisa speak on his behalf. She said a nation would be established here in the future, and asked if the Dark Elves were willing to become citizens. As long as they were willing, they would receive the king's protection. Although the offer made the chieftain uneasy, protection was exactly what he hoped for. Jack learned that this continent had two major nations, one being a human kingdom, and the other an elven nation that had expelled the Dark Elves, and located not far from them. If they were discovered, it would be the end. The only comfort was the Dark Elves joining their side. That day, the chieftain gathered everyone, and met with Jack for a ceremony. To others, Jack looked exactly like the King of Destruction, so everyone was cautious even with their breathing. Some even fainted from backlash caused by looking directly at Jack. This terrified the crowd. Fortunately, Jack quickly took his place on the throne, with Lisa conveying his words. The Dark Elves were officially accepted as his citizens. A prompt appeared in Jack's mind, asking if he wanted to accept the Dark Elf race. After clicking confirm, the Dark Elves didn't notice they had been converted to an evil alignment. Just as they were feeling strange, a flood of hatred surged within them. Those who had once harmed them appeared in their minds one by one. They couldn't stop their rage and hatred.
大丈夫？王よ。そうか。これが庇護される喜び。大なる我らが王。
With the Dark Elves joining, Jack's nation had finally taken its first step forward. This time, Kia brought his deputy Aniel. She knew quite a few things. Their purpose in coming was to learn what they should do next. Jack and Lisa had already figured that out. The chieftain would manage the nation's affairs, while Kia would remain head of the warriors. Kia was thrilled by this, and immediately declared he would be invincible in all future battles.
戦争とかよ。
王は平和を好まれます。覚えておくように。
はい。なぜ破滅の王が平和主義なのだ?
But what they didn't know was that Jack appeared strong but was actually weak inside. Launching a war would mean certain death. The urgent task now was to build shelters. This would also help Jack gather resources. Luckily, the Dark Elves were a forest-dwelling race, so they were highly skilled in lumberwork and construction. But when they heard Jack's order to plant trees, the three were puzzled. It would take hundreds of years for the trees to grow strong. But this surprised Jack, since reforestation was a magical technique. Lisa asked if they'd heard of military magic, but they knew nothing of it. Jack realized this world was quite primitive, and hadn't developed magic to accelerate plant growth. But that was actually good news. Knowing advanced techniques was their chance to surpass other nations. Upon hearing that these innovations came from the king's wisdom, the three felt even more grateful they had submitted to Jack. Jack discovered, whether it was gunpowder or metal, he could create them, although it required a lot of magic power. One day he would become powerful. Jack couldn't help but smile. As for the future, he already had a plan, but what he didn't know was that the saintess of the Holy Kingdom had already discovered their presence.